Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Wednesday edition of Winners and Winers Radio. It is Hump Day, and I am your host, Scott Steehn, lead handicapper at winnersandwiners.com. I will bring on my co-host, my partner in crime. He is senior handicapper over at Winners and Winers, and he is Scott Reichel. Scott, what's going on, buddy?
Nothing much. Had a pretty decent day, I guess. Ended up losing a heartbreaker as my play today with the Orioles team total. 3.5. Had ended up with 3. First and third. 1 out in the 8th. Strikeout. Not a fun time. Had a couple of chances, but it didn't work out. Other than that, though, I saw the second Space Jam movie with some friends yesterday. Wildly, Can I say that? Does
Sure.
wildly do it for you? I give it a 5 out of 10. I thought it was okay. It wasn't great.
Okay.
But a lot of kids in the theater. They seem to like it.
You went to an actual movie theater to see it?
Yep.
Okay.
Went to a movie theater.
Congratulations. Huh?
Yeah. My friend got the upgraded movie pass thing, so you can get like discounted popcorn and stuff. Living the dream.
Okay. So, did you guys take advantage of the discounted popcorn?
Of course. You can get the regular large popcorn, but they also give you a refill, so you can ask for the refill up front, and you just start the thing with 2 large popcorns.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So that's solid. How many of you went?
I only had one, so I just ate the large, had some water, and called it a day. There's a movie theater with a bar in it, though.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah,
I found that to be ingenious.
Did they bring drinks to you in your chair?
I could have asked them to.
Yeah.
I just didn't want them to.
Bar service inside the theater.
That part, I'm not sure if they delivered, but there was a bar outside that you could order drinks at.
Oh yeah, we've got a couple here where you can just actually sit in your seat and they come around and you can order food and drinks and pretty sweet deal. Pretty sweet deal. It's almost as good as staying home.
Almost. You going to see the second Space Jam movie, or not even going to bother?
I will probably. Oh, sure. It's on HBO Max. So yeah. We'll,
if you set the bar low, it's not that bad.
Well, I'm in good shape there because I did not. The bar set very high. So, all right. Well, Space Jam aside, guys, quick reminder: you are listening to Winners and Winers Radio. Give us an hour. We'll give you the winners, and of course, we are brought to you by winnersandwiners.com, your one-stop shop for all things sports betting related. Deep dives and predictions into every game every single day. It is the world's #1 predictive sports analysis site, and you should be getting your butt over there to check it out because it's always free. Every game, every day, always free. Make it part of your routine. winnersandwiners.com. All right. Well, Scott, let's get right to it. I know we've got a lot to talk about. We're going to recap a little basketball. We've got a little baseball going forward, maybe even yak about the Olympics a little bit. But before we do all that, we're going to get it started like we always do. Talk about the people who didn't have such a great night, the folks that kind of took one on the chin. They took one for the team. They thought they had a winner, and they didn't. We've all been there. It sucks, and all you want to do is call the cops. All right, Scott, let's get it rolling, shall we? Let's talk about the NBA. Speak of the devil jumps up. If you had the Bucks first half, -2.5. Hey, we just saw this movie the other direction on whatever night that was. Was that Sunday night? Saturday night? What night was that game? Saturday night, right?
I felt like 3 months ago.
It really does. It's 17 days between games. Anyway, yeah, the Bucks -2.5 the first half. You were in great shape, led by 13 after the first quarter. And they were outscored by 18 in the second quarter, 31-13 by Phoenix. Phoenix actually took a 5-point lead at the half, and your Bucks -2.5 went blowing in the wind. It is time to call the cops.
And the second one involved the Phillies and the Yankees. If you had the under 9.5, it was looking pretty good early. 7 runs going into the 8th inning. 2 runs in the 8th, not ideal, but Yankees are winning, and they're the home team, which means they're not going to bat in the bottom of the 9th. All you need is Aroldis Chapman to shut the door, and that is definitely a dangerous proposition. Andrew McCutchen, see you later, baseball. Home run. Yankees won 6-4. That adds up to 10, and you can rip up your 9.5 under ticket.
You need him to shut the door. Instead, he comes in with one of those like triangle wedge door stoppers and just kicks it open and says,
He shut the door, but it had that really bad like squeak to it as you closed it the entire way. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yep.
Yep, absolutely. Well, and Scott, let's talk about probably the worst one of the day. Now it's no tennis beat, don't get me wrong, but this the Cardinals on the money line. If you had them, you were in such good shape for 8 innings of this game. It looked like the Cubs were absolutely done. They showed no desire to be out there. They were down 6-1 going into the ninth inning. They didn't even have Bryant. He got hurt. He's out. So of course, what do the Cubs do? Well, just like you thought they would, they put up 6 runs in the top of the ninth, take a 7-6 lead. Cardinals can mount nothing in the bottom of the ninth, and they end up losing. If you had the Cardinals on the money line there, man, you had a great bet right up until the time you didn't. Ugh, call the cops.
Not real much else to add there. Anytime your team blows a 5-run lead in the ninth, you can kind of just call it a day, can't you?
The trick there is making sure you just lose one game because of something like that. Because sometimes you get things like that carry over for a game or two. So
Yep.
hopefully the Cardinals can get up tomorrow with a cornerback's mentality, or get up today rather with a cornerback's mentality and forget all about it. So, well, Scott, the ones you don't have to forget about are the nice, easy victories. Now, they're not as much fun as sweating out that victory there at the last minute, but they sure are a lot easier on your cardiac situation. These are the ones where you never had to sweat it. You had it the whole way, didn't lose it in the lights, didn't get taken by the wind. Nice, easy victory. You had yourself a rocking chair game.
So the first one was in basketball. If you had the Suns and Bucks under 220.5, you had a nice easy winner. Only 89 points in the first half. Game landed 203. Tell you what, I was probably the biggest winner on that because I didn't actually have the bet on it, but because I was watching Space Jam 2, I missed the entire first half. So I got to avoid some really hideous basketball. Is that a good way to put it?
Well, it was hideous basketball played by each team. In the
Yep.
first quarter, Phoenix played hideous basketball. In the second quarter, the Suns played hideous basketball. Of course, didn't help that Middleton picked up his third foul there pretty early in the second quarter, pretty much had to sit out the rest of the first half.
I'm
So,
assuming it was as bad as advertised when both teams took turns scoring less than 17 points in a quarter.
yeah, pretty much just couldn't do anything. And it was hard to believe you were watching the same game when you watched the first quarter and the second quarter. And yeah, I alluded to it, Scott. It was a lot like the situation on Saturday night in Game 5, only in reverse, where the Suns came out, took a gigantic lead to start the game, and then here comes the Bucks. They come roaring back. Takes them about 6.5 minutes. All of a sudden, they've pulled even and had the lead at halftime. It was a very it was like looking in a mirror. It was a very, very similar type situation, but it ended differently. So there you go. Well, Scott, you had the Angels Athletics under 8.5. You were in pretty good shape because Ohtani was on the mound, so you know he's going to be good, right? Nope. Ohtani, it didn't help much. But luckily, the Athletics scored absolutely the Angels scored absolutely nothing. They did nothing at all. This game ends up going 5-1 through the first 5 innings. You got to sweat it a little bit. But once that lockdown, Angels bullpen got involved, it was no problem. The game ends up 6-0. Shutting them out, Scott. Shutting them out. If you had under 8.5, well, you had to sweat it just a tick there. But for the most part, you were sitting in the rocket chair.
Okay, just to be clear, Ohtani didn't pitch yesterday. He pitched 2 days ago.
Oh, that was 2 days ago, wasn't it? When he
pitched really well. He gave up no runs, and then they gave up all the runs from the bullpen. But no, you had Suarez pitch. He didn't pitch well, but
no, Ohtani did not. I didn't think Ohtani pitched well the day before at all.
He was fantastic. He gave up no runs. They benched him, and then I think it was either Cechek or Neshek. I always confuse them, but he gave up like 3 runs in the following inning. So Ohtani gave up no runs. He got no decision in that game 2 days ago. But yesterday, Suarez pitched not well, but Oakland shut the door. Anyway, looking at the final rocking chair in baseball, a match between the Braves and the Padres. If you had the under 9, you were doing pretty well. 3 runs for the first 6 innings, and it was 3 runs for the first 9 innings because you got no more production. 2-1 final, under 9, never in doubt.
No doubt about it. Those are the nice, easy ones when you want to play those unders, and they just never make a run at it. So, all right. So yeah, just to be clear, that was the Athletics that did break through, and they did it not against Ohtani, but they did it against Suarez. So
Yeah.
My apologies to our listeners and viewers there. They kind of run together there.
That's why he confused me. I'm like, was Ohtani pitching yesterday? I thought it was 2 days ago. But anyway.
Yep, absolutely right. So very good. And Scott, we don't always have one, but we do have one today. It's kind of an esoteric one. So I'm gonna do this. It is time once again. Strap on the feed bag, would you, Scott? Because it's time for Donkey of the Day. I always have to wait for the last one. That's my favorite one. All right, Scott. So stick with me, guys. Today's Donkey of the Day are sports federations that can't decide what female athletes should wear on the bottom half of their body. Now, let me explain. A couple of days ago, you guys may have seen this story. In the England championships, what they call their track and field meet over there, an official told a Paralympic long jumper that her shorts were too short and inappropriate. Now, I did see a picture of them. They look like regular bikini shorts, what you'd see on a beach volleyball player, or perhaps you'd see them on a beach team handball player. Oh, you didn't know that was a sport? Well, it is. You know what team handball is? Oh, no, you don't? Well, it's like regular handball, except not at all. It's kind of like hockey meets basketball. It's like street hockey meets basketball. They play it on the sand. Anyway, they play in bikinis just like they play beach volleyball. So there was a Norwegian team that was playing in the European Championships, and they were fined for not wearing bikini bottoms. They wore just regular shorts. That was inappropriate gear. Apparently, you got to see both cheeks, Scott. That's part of the game right there. So I have a solution. I think the Norwegian team should go play for the English Championships, and I think the long jumper should go ahead and play for the Norwegians. And I think everything would work out fine, because that is absolutely ridiculous. I can't believe we're arguing about skimpy, too skimpy, not skimpy enough. Stop it. Just stop it. If it's good for competition, if it's aerodynamic, if it's the outfit they want to wear, come on. We're all adults here.
I'm with you. I think that the idea of having different set of rules for different federations when it comes to what pants or shorts you should wear is absurd.
Yeah.
And I do think that it's considering the fact that these are elite level athletes because they are competing for their respective countries. I don't really know why you want to make the wardrobe the bigger story over the actual athletes participating in the event.
Well, and I'll be honest with you, Scott. Let's be grown-ups here and admit what's going on. If you watch women's team handball, you run across it, you're flipping through the channels at 3:00 in the morning, you're CNBC or who's ever got the third tier coverage, and you see women's team handball on the beach. Scott, you're not watching it because you go, oh, I hear Ecuador's got a great team this year. No, you're watching it for the same reason that guys watch women play beach volleyball, because they're attractive women wearing swimwear, and it's fun to watch. All right. I don't know if you can you still say that in the 21st century, Scott? Can I say that without getting canceled?
You already said it, so I'm going to distance myself from you. I love watching Ecuador play team handball, and with that, I'm going to pass.
Yes. God forbid that two red-blooded American males would admit that they like watching attractive female play sports. That's
I was going to go in the other
horrible thing.
I was going to go in the other direction, which is the fact that if you are worried about people wearing athletes too skimpy, people can find people wearing nothing on the internet, right? Like, there are other alternatives that you could go to if you wanted to find inappropriate content. I think in this era of technology, you don't have to worry about that, because if they want to see something else, they can probably find it at their fingertips.
Although, Scott,
I'm not going to connect the dots, but I think all of you know what I mean.
If my wife's going through my browser history and she sees Ecuadorian team handball, probably not going to be suspicious.
Either that, or she might sign you up for a meeting, because that means you've probably been gambling too much.
Probably gambling on it. That's the only question that we should be asking. Who's got the advantage? So I've got to tell you, Scott, that I saw this story, and I actually did go to YouTube, and I watched Ecuador play France in beach handball, team handball. And it's quite a sport. You do You just should watch it. They do like twisty, spinny throws, and you got to throw behind the line, and it's kind of fun to watch.
I've seen that with regular European handball. I just haven't seen it on a beach.
Yeah, very similar, except the landings are a little bit better.
Okay.
So, and the girls are hot.
Mm.
All right, my friend. So that's our donkey of the day. Make up your minds. Nick, stop it. We're all in the 21st century.
Give us consistency. Different federations should still have the same rules.
Yes, absolutely correct. All right, Scott. So congratulations to the Milwaukee Bucks there in Cream City. They were able to get the victory there in Game 6 over the Phoenix Suns. 65,000 people outside the arena, Scott. Is that unbelievable?
It's impressive. I wouldn't want to sit out there next to a bunch of strangers for 3 hours, but are you a fan of watch parties?
I'm okay with it. As I get older, I'm pretty locked into my couch.
And for the record, when I say watch parties, I don't mean going over to a friend's house. I mean either going to the arena of the team that, let's just say the Phoenix fans who show
the away arena,
away arena, and you're watching the game there, or if you're sitting in Milwaukee or standing for the entire time by the quad or what Toronto does by the quad. Anyway, the point is, good for them for showing support. I wouldn't want to do that for 3+ hours with no chair, but they had fun.
I got a bad piece of news for you, buddy. You're in about your peak physical condition right now.
That's not good.
You're maybe
right now.
You're maybe a couple of years past tops. But if you can't stand for 3 hours right now, it ain't getting any easier.
It's not a matter of can't. It's a matter of if the alternative is sitting on my couch with all the room in the world, then why would I choose to stand for 3 hours in Milwaukee summer?
You can make the same case. Why would you ever go to a game?
No, because you have chairs at the games. You don't have to stand the entire time.
So it's the entire thing is the standing.
You have food. You have food stands. What do you do? Do they have hot dog stands set up outside by the stadium?
No, they might have some porta potties or something. There might be some food trucks there. I don't know.
I want you to just understand everything that you just said and that you tried to compare it to actually going to an event that has actual bathrooms. There's a difference between that. I have no interest in sitting outside in what looks like a mosh pit type of area without the rock music. I'll pass.
Okay, Princess.
I'll pass.
Don't you ever go to concerts? Get on the field?
I go to concerts.
Right.
But that's also because I like the music.
All right, sure. Standing room only, right?
Yeah, for the most part, yeah.
On the floor, right?
Yeah.
You stay in there 3 hours?
I've done it, but you can still join a mosh pit. You can do something. They have drinks and stuff accessibly available. I don't know what they have over there. Did you see many people, like, with food vendors out there? I didn't.
I gotta admit, Scott, every time they do one of the crowd shots, I wasn't looking to see who had a hot dog. I'm
just saying, you got 6,000 people, and it's just like, all right, I kind of want to breathe when I watch the game. How small of a screen do you think they were watching that on?
I think they're watching it on a huge screen.
But I'm saying, you got like everyone next to each other. I'm sure you got people in the back all the way through. They probably don't have the best view in the house. Good for them. They showed support. I could show support from my couch.
Today's youth is 10 ply. I stand by that 100%, man.
If you want to be supportive, go to the championship parade.
Scott, you know why the Suns lost, don't you?
There are a couple reasons why, but we got to mention the ref who was involved in it, because I said the Suns would not go quietly. They did not, but then Scott Foster was announced to be ref, and you knew if you had a Suns money line ticket, you were immediately slamming that cash out option because you were trying to eject as soon as you found out who was reffing. Scott Foster and Chris Paul don't exactly get along. He is 0 for 13 in his last 13 games with Scott Foster as a ref. That's a problem, isn't it?
That's what I was going to ask you. Did you think the NBA just did that to troll all the people that were up in arms about he's 0-12 against? You think the NBA just did that to just say here's mud in your eye?
I posted on Twitter before the series started that Chris Paul's legacy for some reason would come down to winning a Game 7 with Scott Foster as the ref, and I was very close because he reffed Game 6. I don't know what the rules are when it comes to referees in NBA Finals. Do they have to referee like 2 games minimum?
I don't know. I think they have what, 4 different crews, 3
But I'm
different
saying,
crews?
because Foster did one of the finals games, I'm
Right.
assuming that you probably have to do a minimum of 2, because that would make sense on why they rotated.
Don't know.
Point is, Foster was probably either going to do 6 or 7.
Right.
The thing is, Chris Paul didn't play badly. He had 26 points. The issue was Booker stunk. But the bigger issue was Giannis was against a bunch of middle schoolers, and he absolutely torched them for 50 and 14.
Yeah, in no way, shape, or form. We're just kind of having fun here. It is something that we like to point out when it happens,
It's very fascinating.
but I don't think there's any stretch of the imagination that we could put this game off on a referee.
No, not at all. You could tell from the third quarter onward, Milwaukee realized, this Giannis guy who's the only player on their team who can actually put the ball in the basket. Let's let him touch the ball every possession, and he'll get a free shot at the lane because Ayton was lost for the entire game. Is that a good way to put it?
Yeah, it is. Now I will say, Scott, that they
Props to
called
Kaminsky. He tried. Props to Kaminsky. He tried his hardest out there.
Hey, he had more points tonight than he'd had in the previous 5 games, or 4
Yeah.
games, rather, or 5 games. So
He looked more productive than Ayton.
yeah. That's sad right there, and that's unfortunately pretty close to accurate. So the fouls are pretty close to the same, but the Bucks did shoot 10 more free throws. If you want to go down conspiracy road, although I will say it was much closer before a scramble at the end.
It's really just a matter of the stylistic approach between both teams. Milwaukee has a freight train going to the lane every single possession, which is why Giannis had 19 free throw attempts. He had the same amount of free throw attempts as the entire Suns team. That tells you the Suns take a lot of jump shots, which they do, because Chris Paul, Booker, Crowder, Bridges, all those guys all shoot jump shots kind of exclusively, with the exception of Booker, who drives occasionally. So it's mostly a style thing for me, where you're looking at the free throw differentials between the Bucks and the Nets from a couple of series ago. That's because the Nets' big 3 take a ton of jump shots. They don't really go to the rim that much. Milwaukee goes to the rim all the time. I think that's the bigger story.
Yep. And, Giannis, I mean, can we say it? He pretty much did it by himself.
He shot free throws like James Harden.
I
don't really know what happened there, but
he didn't get it, and he didn't get a ton of help from anybody. Bobby Crazy Eyes Portis chipping in 16 was helpful.
I thought that was a warranted technical, by the way. People gave it a hard time. He was Deion Sanders high-stepping down the entire length of the court when they called the foul on him.
You can't do that now?
That's frowned upon. It didn't matter because Chris Paul missed the free throw anyway. But people were going, what is this call? I'm like, your guy just high-stepped from the 40-yard line. I don't know what you expected, but he was very good. Middleton was okay, I guess, because he was 6 for 13, 17, 5, and 5. Holiday had 11 assists, 9 rebounds, and 4 steals, 4 for 19 shooting. And Tucker gave another 0-point performance. So it was mostly Giannis, a little bit of Middleton, and Bobby Portis. And that was really all they needed because the Suns got nothing from Booker. He had 19, which was inflated, but 0 for 7 for 3, 8 for 22 from the floor, 6 turnovers. Booker had the worst plus minus on the team. He was just bad. There was really no other way to put it. The 2 best players on the team were Chris Paul and Jay Crowder.
No question about it. No, and time again, they'd run plays for Crowder.
Yeah, I thought Crowder was very good, but when he's your second best player in a playoff game, you probably should lose by more than 7 points.
Say Crowder. Say Crowder.
Good player, but the Suns had the same issue all series long, which was if Ayton doesn't either A, stay out of foul trouble, or B, contain Giannis, they have no backups and they have no other size. And Milwaukee out-rebounded them by 17.
Well, yep. It seems like this season would never end.
It felt that way. I mean, the injuries made it feel worse because I feel like a lot of people felt like it was a damaged product at that point.
So I assume they're going to start regular time next year, back in October.
They let everybody fall or, get injured so they could reset the calendar properly.
So, Scott, 2 questions. Will they start on time? How many people will be in the stands when they start?
I think they're going to start on time. As for fans, I'm going to say close to full.
Okay. You don't think no social distancing? We're not going back?
No, I think we're in too deep. The NBA lost too much money the first time around. I just think it's it's everything forward at this point. It reminds me of a quote from the movie Shrek. You ever see that movie?
Of course, I have
So
children.
Lord Farquaad, right? The short
John
king of the area.
Lithgow, yes.
Yeah, correct. John Lithgow, yeah. He says a line when he's about to send off a bunch of soldiers into war, and he says, "Some of you may die, but that's a sacrifice I'm willing to make." That's kind of what the NBA did with Adam Silver. They just said, "I don't care how many of you get injured, we're doing this." I feel like that's kind of just setting up future years. You?
Sorry, kids. Sorry, kids. We'll get you that vaccine someday.
Do you agree? I feel like that's a pretty good quote to use in the situation.
I agree. I don't think we're going back. I'm not, Scott, we kind of got a big sporting event going on right now, or it is actually going on right now. We had our first game yesterday, ladies soccer over there in the Olympics.
Soccer or softball?
I thought it was soccer. Was it softball?
Could be. Point is that I think it's different with the Olympics.
What kind of shorts are they wearing? That's what I really want to know.
Are they aerodynamic?
That's right.
For softball, but it's different because that's also in a foreign country where the vaccine rates are dangerously low.
Mm-hmm.
The fact is that a decent portion of America is vaccinated. I'd say maybe a couple of soft spots in the South, as we talked about yesterday. But if a decent amount are vaccinated, I just think you're going to throw people in. Worst cases, say you have to be vaccinated in order to actually get a ticket.
Interesting. All right. Good take. So, we talked about it. Are they going to finish the Olympics? Will there be a closing ceremonies at the Olympics, Scott?
I don't think there's going to be a real opening ceremony at the Olympics. I think it's getting full shutdown.
Because that's 2 days away.
I know it is.
Okay.
I think they got serious problems. I'm going to say they shut it down.
Okay. They will. I think it's possible they shut it down in the middle.
Maybe you have the ceremony just for the fun of it, and then a day later, wow, half the people have COVID.
Yeah, I think we're going to have problems. I think it's going to be ugly. So.
It's going to be a disaster. So if you're betting on any sport, whether it's going to be basketball, team handball, beach volleyball, swimming, check the COVID injury reports.
Oh man, that's what I want to do is spend the next 2.5 weeks digging into Olympic injury reports. I'm super psyched for that.
I'm just saying it's going to be a massive headache, but you know where I'm going with it. Basketball, especially, you're going to need to keep tabs.
Yep. So everything's coming up Milwaukee, Scott, but everything is not fantastic up there in the Dairy State, is it?
It isn't basketball, but that's pretty much it.
Yeah, well, and the Brewers lost to the Royals today, too. I'm sure everybody in Milwaukee is torn up about that.
That's what you're referring to.
No, what I'm referring to is trouble by the Bay, Scott, up there in Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers came out today. It was announced that he turned down a 2-year extension that would have extended his contract from the current 3 years out to 5 years, would have made him the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. So Scotty's got obviously 3 years left on the deal. He's 36. Packers say, we're not trading him. What's his end game here? And he says, and he's come out and said what the problem is. It's much like we all thought. He loves Jordan Love. He loves the coaching staff and all that stuff. He is still mad at management for moving up to draft Jordan Love and not talking about him with it. He thinks that is the ultimate sign of disrespect. He's not going to get over it. So we're kind of at an impasse. So it looks like he hasn't reported to OTAs for the first time in his career. He's missed OTAs. So a couple of questions, Scott. Number one, is he going to play this year? Number two, what's his plan?
All I'm saying is I'm not drafting him in my fantasy team. I don't think he's going to play.
You don't think he's going to play?
I don't. And I mentioned that idea to you a couple of months ago. I did bring that up while he was floating around the Celebrity Jeopardy full-time thing. I mentioned that I think there's a chance he might not play. And the main reason why is because of the fact that I thought that he was either A, a ploy to get a contract, or B, he really just hates the entire front office, and the Green Bay didn't accept his ultimatum, which was fire the GM or I'm leaving, and the GM is still there, and they didn't really do anything. So I think Rodgers has enough money. I think he's fed up, and I think he believes if he takes a Le'Veon Bell route, eventually they're going to ship him. Yeah, it's not about the money. I know that we've talked before about a $20-something million is nice, but with his career earnings, with the State Farm earnings, I'm sure he'll manage to swallow that 1-year loss of pay. Wouldn't you say so?
I would agree, although I don't care who you are. Well, I mean, obviously, if you're Bezos or something, but if you're a regular multimillionaire athlete, 20 million makes a difference.
It does to some. I don't know how Aaron Rodgers spends his money, so maybe he's just a guy who has a lot saved up in the bank account. But the way that I see it is that he might try to take an Emmitt Smith approach, which is I'm going to sit out for the first couple of games. If Green Bay stinks, I'm going to have all the leverage in the world. And then maybe they might be able to shake some stuff up. But I don't think that's realistic. I think he's just not going to play.
But Emmitt Smith ended up playing that year.
Correct. But I'm saying they went 0-2.
Yep.
Then Jerry panicked and overpaid him, which isn't really the case in the situation, but you get what I mean.
Well, they did win the Super Bowl that year, too.
And they won the Super Bowl. But the point is he sat out in the beginning, and the team stunk, and then you were hoping the management made an overreaction.
So Rodgers thinks he's going to sit out 2 games, and then they're going to trade him?
Either trade him or fire the GM. I don't know. I'm just trying to come up with a way that he can stay with Green Bay, but I thought the contract could be the only other thing that was keeping him from showing up. That was offered.
Yep.
He just apparently despises this guy as the GM, so I don't think it's going to change.
I think he sucks it up and plays.
Okay, agree to disagree.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean that's at this point it's just an opinion. So
I'm going to ask one of our friends over on one of the books to potentially set up a line on Rodgers to play week 1 or not. I'm taking the no. I don't know what the plus minus is going to be on either side. I'll take the no. I don't think he's going to show up.
I think you're going to get a good price. I think you're going to get plus 240, 250.
I'm sure the limit will be like $50, but I'll still take it.
Okay.
I'm assuming you would too, solely for value, if it's high enough.
If it's high enough, sure.
Like what yes price not to play would you need in order to consider it? Like 3 to 1 or higher?
Yep, 3 to 1 or higher.
All right.
I think that's where the value is. I think there's still a really good chance he plays, that he just sucks it up, because there's no escape hatch here for him. Emmitt Smith was holding out for a contract. They got a new deal done. He's all good.
I was thinking of any comparison besides Emmitt Smith, who returned, and Le'Veon Bell, who did not. It's kind of uncharted territory. Most people hold out for training camp and then they show up.
Well, and they also hold out for money. They also hold out for more money, respect, all that, blah, blah, blah.
He wants the respect, but they offered him the money.
Yeah, exactly right. So, well, we'll see what happens. It'll be anxious. I'm anxious to see what happens. I'm curious, because I think he's painted himself into a corner. I think he has no option but to play.
Now, if you think he's not going to play, do you think that you should take a sprinkle on either the Bears or the Vikings?
Vikings.
I agree.
Yep. I'm still not as convinced the Bears have solved their quarterback problem yet.
I'm not either. And I think Dalton's going to start week 1.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's going to be red rifle time.
Yep, I agree.
All right. So speaking of prima donna NFL players, Deion Sanders, now coach at Jackson State, down there in the SWAC. Scott, it was SWAC Media Day today, and Deion Sanders, they made headlines. He walked out of SWAC Media Day because they called him by his first name twice. A reporter called him by his first name. He said no. He said he didn't want to do it. And another reporter called him by his first name. He walked out. Said he wanted to be treated like Nick Saban, wanted to be called Coach Sanders. By the way, just a point of reference here, the same reporter is the beat writer for Ole Miss, has been in news conferences with Nick Saban, called him Nick, has been in news conferences with Lane Kiffin, called him Lane, and he's been in news conferences with the head coach of Ole Miss, Chris, whatever his name is. They won a national championship. And guess what he called him? Called him Chris. So it's a thing that this reporter does. I think it's a thing most reporters do. They occasionally call him Coach, or they'll call him Nick. Is he making a mountain out of a molehill here? Is it Deion just trying to get publicity?
I think it's a mix of publicity and the fact that he's a diva. I mean, he's the guy who got drafted and said, I'm really happy that the Lions didn't take me because they would have asked for so much money. They would have had to put me on a layaway. It's something you don't exactly say once you get drafted into the NFL. So I always thought that Deion Sanders was a very minimal ego guy. I'm really shocked that he would do something like this, right? All I know is if I was asking a question to Coach Sanders, I would have said prime. Do you think he would have responded? Or do you think he would have been annoyed?
Or neon?
I would have said prime. That's just what I would have called him.
You
Do you
call
think
it
he would have responded to that?
Mr. Time?
Yeah.
I coach Time.
Do you think he would have responded to Prime?
That's a great question. Because my first thought was Neon, but yeah,
I was going to call him Prime if I
Prime
really
Time as well. So
yeah.
yeah. Now, my friends call me Prime, but you can call me Time. So
Mr. Prime was my father.
I do that when I go to restaurants, Scott, and order Mr. Pibb, and they say, "Would you like Mr. Pibb?" I say, "Please." Mr. Pibb was my father.
Mm-hmm.
My kids hate me so much.
That's why you're a father and I'm not, because you can make those jokes.
I can make those dad jokes. My kids, they just want to crawl into the table sometimes. Meanwhile, I love it. So
I thought it was an overreaction. I guess maybe he wasn't aware of what some reporters like this one actually call Nick Saban, which he clearly wasn't. But I don't know. I felt like he was kind of annoyed and he might have just misplaced it against reporters. I've seen coaches misplace anger against reporters before, so I can't say I'm surprised. I want to know if he would have responded to Prime or not.
Where are they having media days for the SWAC anyway? Like the lobby at Motel 6? Or I'm not picturing like super swanky.
It's right by the Continental Breakfast at Holiday Inn.
If that hotel isn't 3 miles from an airport, I'll eat my hat.
Mm-hmm.
So good luck to Coach Sanders there and the rest of the Jackson State. What are they, Scott? Jaguars?
I'm trying to actually remember.
Fireflies? I don't know.
I'm trying to remember from college basketball purposes if I remember.
Right. I'm going to go with the Eagles.
I want to say Wildcats because that's a good cop-out answer.
Yep.
I know that they're definitely a type of like animal. I don't remember.
I think if Eagles and Wildcats, we have about a 60% chance of being.
They're the Tigers.
They're the Tigers. That was the other one.
That was pretty close with Wildcats. I picked one of the most common names. Was the other most common name.
It is technically a Wildcat.
Yes, it is.
So you weren't wrong.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And finally, Scott, I think we found at Winners and Winders, I think we found our new revenue stream. Are you ready?
Oh, boy.
We're going to sign college athletes and make them Winners and Winders athletes.
Mm-hmm.
What could go wrong?
But I wonder how much money those athletes are going to get paid, right?
That's the thing. We're talking, of course, I don't know if you guys have heard this or not. Probably some of you haven't, but Barstool has signed 100,000 college athletes to be Barstool athletes. So you might ask, how much money are they giving 100,000 people? Well, great question, because they're not giving them anything. They're giving them swag, like bags and shirts and stuff that are exclusive for the athletes.
Merchandising.
And they say Barstool athletes on them. And
isn't that how it goes in Spaceballs? Merchandising. Spaceballs, the toilet paper. Spaceballs, the flamethrower. Like this kind of stuff.
It's all about the merchandising.
Yep.
So,
that's what I'm getting out of this. I feel like athletes might have tried to dive into collecting instead of actually fielding their offers because that offer stinks.
It's pretty bad, Scott. And here's the other problem: is there's a lot of states, because what the NCAA did is they washed their hands of it. They said, we're going to let the states work it out. We're going to let the conferences work it out. We are going to be hands off in these NIL situations because, frankly, we're tired of getting our asses kicked in court. So they don't have anything to do with it anymore. But there are state laws. For example, Scott, in Ohio, there is a state law that they passed about athletes being able to profit off their name, image, and likeness, NIL for short, that says they can do that as long as they are not involved with tobacco, alcohol, cannabis, or gambling. Barstool, as you probably know, not only do they have a sports book, but they are owned outright. 36% of Barstool is owned by Penn Gaming. So if this turns into a violation, which it really looks like it is.
It really should be, even though we sound like sticklers, it should sound like it violates some rules because it does.
Yeah. I mean, the NCAA has certainly suspended programs for less.
Mm-hmm.
So does this end up turning into a problem in these states, Scott? All of a sudden, you've sold your soul for rock and roll in two T-shirts and a koozie, and now you're ineligible for 4 games. Could this ultimately turn into a problem?
I think it sounds like a lawsuit waiting to happen. The
way
that I'm looking at it is you might have to wonder who's going to be suing who, and I think that depends on Barstool either suing the NCAA or the athletes potentially suing for their right to play while being sponsored, but it's probably going to be the former. because you're going to have two huge corporations go against each other. I see a lawsuit happening.
Except, though, it's not the NCAA. It's going to be like the state of Ohio.
Well, I think you can make an argument that maybe the NCAA could, I don't want to say find an exception to the rule, or maybe they can work out a deal with the states to try to work out a sort of
I don't know.
agreement there. I think you are right, though. It wouldn't be the NCAA, it would be the state. Doesn't this sound like this would have a serious, like, pending lawsuit, class action wise? That's like,
you and I talked about that it was going to be the Wild West, and that could be a little bit of an understatement.
This sounds like class action. That's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, it's going to be ugly.
Which means it's not going to matter, because by the time you settle, the kids will probably graduate by then. So with all the litigation, all the other stuff you're going to have to go through. So that's going to take a while.
It's like the dude from like Ed, what's his name, from UCLA? O'Bannon that had what is he, 50 now?
He won he won, but he already graduated by the time it happened, but still, it's mostly just the idea. It's just the idea itself. I can understand why you'd accept a deal like this if you're maybe a rower or you're a college softball player and you got really no other options.
You're on the bass fishing team.
Yeah, but you're comparing it to some guys who might be playing D2 football, or maybe they're a fullback at Illinois or some random college there. I'm just saying the quarterback for Bama, according to Saban, got paid roughly $1 million.
Right.
You probably could have gotten some cash somewhere else.
Yeah, you should have held up for 3 T-shirts.
What do you think a fullback at Illinois is worth? $600? Anything? Anything more than a bag and maybe a couple hats and cargo shorts?
Oh yeah. I would say some shower thongs and perhaps a wife beater.
Do you want the gift certificate to Best Buy, or do you want the Barstool themed bucket hat and a beer bong?
Are you a fan of Barstool?
But I think they're okay. I respect that they tried to find their own niche and that they cater pretty much only to college kids.
Right.
I know a lot of friends that I have actually watch some of their podcasts or listen to podcasts, or, I can't say really bought a flag, but one of those things. But I've never been a huge fan. I dabble, but I recognize that if you're following them for gambling advice, you can just give us your money instead, and we'll probably invest it better than they will.
Absolutely true. Yeah, I'm not their target demo.
I am.
You are. Their target demo is anybody under 25 or anyone that still wears affliction gear.
It's a great marketing campaign. They ended up catering to an audience that people didn't cater to before, and I respect them for it. But when it comes to legitimate business practices, especially when it comes to student athletes and trying to combat with the NCAA and everything like that, I wouldn't trust Barstool as far as I could throw it.
No, I don't think Dave Portnoy is going to have the student athlete's best interest at heart.
I don't think he will either.
That's all I'm saying.
No offense to Prez.
You don't want to get on the wrong side of the Prez. Now you're just not Barstool material, Scott.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard worse news.
Yeah.
All right, my friend. Well, we talked about it. We threatened it. We knew it was going to happen, Scott.
We only got baseball.
We now only have baseball. That's it. It's going to be baseball. Although, we say that, and that's going to be our day-to-day operation. That's going to be where our picks are. But we're going to start having some guests on. We're going to be talking about some various things going on, mainly football coming up, college football, the NFL, things like that. We're going to have Ben Hayes from Winners and Winers on here in the next couple of days. We're going to talk a little football with Ben. But for now, we're talking about baseball. And we do have a pretty full baseball card tomorrow, Scott. Unfortunately, a lot of getaway games. It's Wednesday, of course. It's hump day. So if you wanted to play from the San Diego-Atlanta game, the Mets, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, Arizona, or Baltimore, Tampa, or maybe the Royals game, too bad. You're out of luck. So there are a number of games that we won't be talking about because we don't have any because the show is going to be on after the game starts. So you don't go to war with the games you want, Scott. You go to war with the games you have. So let's talk about, how about a little NL East battle there? Can I interest you in Washington, Miami by any chance?
I like Washington.
Do you?
This team has been hitting the ball well lately. We know Miami can't hit, and Miami's bullpen also not very good. But Washington's a team that has been streaky, and I don't want to compare it to the World Series team, but based on the breakdowns from first 30-plus games to the midway point in the season, kind of similar trajectory. Can you say that?
Yeah, I think you can.
So I'll ride the hot team here.
Yeah,
You?
I think. And does it bother you at all that we don't have a pitcher named for Miami yet?
They beat Rogers yesterday, so can they send anybody better? Maybe Alcantara, but I don't really care. Washington's hitting the ball well.
Yeah, I think. And Alcantara was originally slated in this spot, and
Does he have COVID?
I haven't heard. Now I've got the last update I have here, and I don't know how accurate it is Holloway.
Fantastic. Yeah, sure. I've seen him pitch. He's not any good.
He is not good. How about a 9.31 ERA and a 2.4 WHIP?
I'm sorry. Alcantara's on the bereavement list, so he is not going to be
Oh,
pitching.
okay. So it looks like it will be most likely Jordan Holloway.
Yeah. So my bad. I thought he had COVID, but no, he's missing it for other reasons.
That's what they're going to do to him in about the second inning, Scott. They're going to haul him away because he's going to be done. This is a Miami pen. They're gassed, buddy.
They're gassed, and they're also not very good.
Yeah, they weren't that good to start with, and now they're gassed. They're gonna have a guy go out there that is just is not good. You got to take the Nets here, right?
Yep, I agree.
Okay, very good, very solid. See, we're off and running. Is there anything from the early game where you want to it's a sure thing lock where you want to say it, and so we'll look like geniuses because they'll hear the show and the game's already completed and they see we already have a win.
I was thinking about doing a play today on Tampa run line just because I think Aiken's terrible and I think Tampa's going to roll. So Walker's been pretty good lately. Tampa should win by a couple runs, so hopefully I sound like a genius when I say that.
Yep, we ain't faking. You got to fade Aiken.
Yep.
Very good. Scott, we've got the Cubs in St. Louis as the St. Louis Cardinals try to shake off that absolutely brutal beat last night in the ninth inning. Kyle Hendricks goes for the Cubbies against Adam Wainwright for the St. Louis Cardinals. This looks like a matchup right out of 2014 or so.
Feels that way.
Cubs opened up as a favorite, but that didn't last long. And now the St. Louis Cardinals about a -116, -118 favorite at home. Who you got here, Scott? Are the St. Louis Cardinals going to be able to shake that off? You and I were pretty much counting the Cubs as dead. DED dead.
I'm still counting them as dead, but they won a game.
Okay. So we're not overreacting here with their big comeback, come from behind victory.
Well, I don't know how many cents Chris Bryant's worth, but I got to assume it's a move because they know Bryant's not playing.
Right.
So I got to assume that factored in at least 15, 20 cents. Wouldn't you say so?
Well, that's exactly what it looks like. Like I said, it opened at -106, so about 20 cents is what Chris Bryant's worth.
In a game where I think that both teams are pretty even, I know the Cubs are awful on the road and St. Louis is pretty good at home. I'm going with Hendricks. 12-4, 3.65 ERA. Decent way to look at it. I'll go Cubs first 5, actually. I think that even though the Cubs are a little bit shorthanded in the situation, we can both agree these teams are teams we don't exactly like backing regularly because they're both not very good. I'll take, in my opinion, the better starting pitcher at this stage in their careers. I'll go with Hendricks.
All right. Yeah, and Hendricks has been very good over his last 3, 1.96 ERA over his last 3. He's 2-0 in that stretch. So, yeah, I think that's solid. The good thing is about it, both these guys are probably going to give you some length. I think they'll probably each go 6. Yep. So you could be looking at an underplay there as well. I don't hate that.
I would look at first 5 under because those bullpens could get a little bit dicey, especially since the Cardinals burned through about half of them in the last inning of the game.
Okay. How about San Francisco, LA Dodgers? Of course, the Dodgers walked off the San Francisco Giants last night with 3-run dinger there in the bottom of the 9th.
Call the cops on the +1.5, by the way.
Yeah.
We thought about including it, but we decided not to because that spread was relatively close.
Right. It was. But that's honorable mention for call the cops right there. So that's another one where are they going to be able to overcome that? Because that's a tough way to lose it. The Giants had the lead for most of the day. In fact, they have a 6-1 lead at one point?
It felt like 6-1.
6-2 maybe. Yeah. So they ended up getting a 6-5 and then walked it off. Logan Webb goes for San Francisco against Urias for the Dodgers. It's got a big price here for the Dodgers. Dodgers laying -175. You got any value on the Giants there?
It's a big price, but I'm actually okay with it just because you're comparing these two starting pitchers. Urias has been very good. You might be talking about the other starters. Kershaw's on the IL. Bowers has his own problems. What are they going to do? Then you realize, wait a second, Urias is 12-3 with a 3.78 ERA. Like, he's been fantastic. I'll go with Urias. I just think he's a better pitcher than Logan Webb. I
You
know
know,
that the price isn't appealing, but I like Urias in this spot.
Urias is one of those guys where you get to see that a win-loss record doesn't mean anything. I was trying to think of a nice way to put it, but
I'm just saying his whip is still good. His whip's 1.09.
It is, but 3.78 ERA. I think he's a number 3 starter.
Yeah.
And
I don't know what you think Logan Webb is. I probably have him as a 4 or a 5 in most seasons.
well, he's a kid is kind of figuring it out. Obviously, he's a youngster. He's pitched very well. Personally, I think there's some value on the Giants there. I think this is pretty close to a pick'em game, and
okay.
I think it should be Dodgers somewhere in the neighborhood of -130, -135.
That's fair. I definitely can understand your point. I just think the Dodgers are going to win.
Well, I agree. I think the Dodgers should be favored, and again, the Dodgers probably will win. It's all about the value for me.
Okay.
Anything else? What else? What else we got here? We talked about Aiken. Yeah, that's a solid play. And
I got to look at the Yankees Phillies over. It's at roughly 9 with Wojciechowski against Moore. Winds blowing out to the short porch at about 10 miles an hour. Matt Moore in this decade against Wojciechowski. If you remember him, he used to pitch for a couple of teams, Baltimore mostly, and he wasn't good. It's his first appearance of the year. With Harper in that lineup, I think we'd agree that the Phillies should be able to go yard a couple of times against him with the wind blowing out. I like the over. I think the total's way too low.
Total of 9 there. Can you explain that to me in an American League city with Wojciechowski on the mound? And at this point, Matt Moore scheduled, although that's not carved in stone. There could be a switch there, but.
Well, it's a 9 right now. I'm assuming that you're going to see it move. I think it'll probably end up going at 9.5 or 10 by the time this game starts.
Yeah, it's juiced over right now. So I think by the time that a lot of people hear this, it probably will be 9.5. Maybe.
I'm assuming they're factoring in the fact that the Yankees are still missing Urshela and Judge, but the team has still hit anyway. Yep. I'm just looking at the win in those starters. I'll go with the over.
Okay. All right. Very good. That's solid.
I had the over in yesterday's game with the Yankees and Phillies in that one.
Yes, it did. Yes.
Do you have anything else you like? We got our boy on the mound.
We do have our boy on the mound, and man, he is really having a good season. Of course, we're talking about Robbie Ray for those of you that are new to the show and don't know some of our personal heroes here. And Robbie Ray's one of those guys. We used to make fun of him, Scott. We used to make fun of him because he went through a stretch. Well, mainly the first 5 years of his career,
where everybody
couldn't stop walking people, and. Do you know that his walk rate is almost 50% below his career mark right now? He as a career walks 4.2 per 9. This season he has walked 2.9 or 2.2 per 9.
I'm assuming it's the lowest of his career by a wide margin.
Yes, it is the low. The second low of his career had been 3.2.
Props to the Toronto pitching staff because I guess the coaches did a pretty good job teaching him how to throw strikes.
Yes, he's absolutely fantastic. It hasn't affected his strikeout rate very much, and like I said, his walks are 50% less than his best season as a big leaguer, giving up just 6 earned runs in his last 5 starts. I don't know how you don't love Robbie Ray here, buddy.
I don't really love laying 196, but I think if you want to go Toronto first 5 run line, I'm not going to complain.
Don't hate that. I don't hate the full game run line either, although you start taking this Toronto bullpen into account and things get interesting. So
I'm just going to look at Ray versus Richards. I'll take the first 5 run line.
That's not a bad play there. I don't hate the team total over for Toronto either against Garrett Richards. That was going to be Tanner Houck, is somebody I actually wanted to see because this kid has actually been really good, but it's going to be Garrett Richards instead. So, yeah, we'll take a look there and see what happens. So, Scott, we have reached that point in the show. I think we're going to do you have any, before we do that, you have anything else? Anything else you love?
No, that's pretty much it.
Okay. All right. So it's time for us to put our heads together, come up with that one play of the day. If we had to bet it all, if we had to put all our chips in the middle, this is the play we would make. That's the question we talk about all the time that we get more than anything else on Twitter in real life. Hey, you guys are professional handicappers. What's the game you like the best today? So that's why we do the show. That's why we do this segment, because we talk about a lot of things, but we save one for the end. Put on your straw hats, climb up on that tractor, head off to the back 40, folks. It's time for Bet the Farm. All righty, Scott. Well, we had a big Bet the Farm play yesterday. What did we have and how did we do?
We had the Nationals team total over, and they went over. So we had a nice winner.
Very nicely done. And farmers, congratulations. You guys are able to get enough farmland in time to get that winter wheat planted. Very, very good. And I know we've got another one cooked up for today. Scott, what do you got on the plate?
So we're going to be looking at baseball once again, a matchup between the Rangers and the Tigers. And if the Rangers are involved, you know what we're doing. It's not betting on the Rangers. We got the Tigers.
Titty, baby.
We got the Tigers on the money line at around -115. The Rangers have played 5 games since the All-Star break. 0-5. They're being outscored 43-3. This team stinks. Meanwhile, Detroit is undefeated since the All-Star break, as it is 5-0. You have Jordan Lyles on the mound for Texas, 5.2 ERA, 1.49 WHIP, and a 5.50 ERA on the road. We think he's going to struggle, and I don't even know if it matters who's pitching for Detroit. It could be one of us, because Texas can't hit the ball.
Wow.
So Texas can't hit, they can't pitch, and Detroit's been playing really well. I think we'll agree that A.J. Hinch isn't going to win Coach of the Year, but he might get a couple of pity votes because he's done a really good job with a really bad roster.
Right.
I'll take the hot team against the awful team. Give me the Tigers at around -115.
For the record, it's Matt Manning. We don't care. Matt Manning hasn't been pitching great. We don't care because this Tigers team's playing good baseball right now. They've got some youngsters that are having fun. They're learning how to win. This could be a formidable team in a year or two. This could be a very, very different looking division, say in 2023. I think the Royals will be coming on. I think the Tigers are coming on. Could be a lot of fun. Could be some new faces. Matt Manning is one of those guys, one of those arms that they really like for the Tigers. He hasn't been able to put it together completely yet. But anytime we get an opportunity to fade Jordan Lyles, we're going to do it. He has been very, very good to us as a team between Scott and I, and very, very good to me and my clients as far as a regular fade. This is a terrible, terrible Texas team. They are, Scott, when the Diamondbacks had that big losing streak, they were close. They were in the game a lot. Texas, obviously, from the
game's over by the 4th inning.
They're not even. Yeah, it is pretty much rocking chair from the 3rd or 4th inning on. So we've got the Detroit Tigers right there over the Texas Rangers. That's going to be our Bet the Farm play. And we do thank you guys for watching us today. We thank you for watching. We thank you for listening, whatever your medium is, whether you're watching us on YouTube, listening on the radio, checking us out on the computer, whatever it is, we appreciate the effort. We wish you nothing but the best. Hope every one of those tickets in your pocket turns into cash money when you head back to the window. For myself, for my partner, Scott Reichel, for all of us over here at Winners and Winers, we do thank you one more time. Wish you nothing but the best. You guys have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow on Winners and Winers Radio. Take care, everybody.